Okay, imagine you're in real danger. I mean mortal danger. Your survival right now depends on you making a perfect decision in less than a second. Well, today we're going to dive into the neuroscience of that exact moment, how your brain pulls off a flawless life or death escape. So let's set the scene. You've got a mouse in an open field. Suddenly, a threat. Now, the mouse knows where its shelter is, even if its back is turned to it. And in a flash, it spins and bolts in a perfectly straight line right to safety. How in the world does its brain pull off that incredible feat of navigation under that much pressure? That's the exact mystery we're unpacking. To even start to figure this out, scientists had to narrow their focus. They honed in on two specific parts of the brain. You can think of them as the main characters in our story, the two escape artists that make this all possible. So, meet our two main suspects. First, you've got the retrosplenial cortex, or RSP. It's a part of the cortex that's known to be a powerhouse for spatial memory. And then you have the superior colliculus, or SC, which is way down in the midbrain and is all about generating rapid, reflexive movements. The hunch was that these two had to be talking to each other. And you can actually boil down their roles pretty simply. The RSP, the cortex part, acts like the brain's GPS. It's what keeps track of where everything is in the world around you. The SC, on the other hand, is the action center. It takes information and immediately turns it into a command, like turn your head now, or run in that direction. So one knows where to go, and the other knows how to go. Now, here is the secret sauce. It's all about how this information is coded. These neurons don't use map coordinates, like the shelter is in the northeast corner. No, that's too slow. They use what are called egocentric coordinates. It's a signal that's constantly updating relative to the animal's own body. It's just a simple, direct signal that says, safety is 45 degrees to your left, which is just brilliant because that's the exact piece of information your muscles need to make a perfect turn. Okay, so having a theory that these two areas work together is one thing, but how do you actually prove it? How do you show that they form this special, dedicated circuit for escape? Well, you break it, and you see what happens. And that led scientists to a really elegant question. What happens if we use some clever genetic tools to just switch off the phone line between the GPS and the action center? If this pathway really is the key to escape, then cutting that connection should have some pretty serious consequences, right? And oh, were the results dramatic. Get this, the normal mice, they turn towards the shelter with a tiny error of just 5 degrees, basically perfect. But when that pathway was silenced, their error jumped all the way up to 23 degrees. Not only that, but they were 50% slower to get to safety. They knew there was danger, but they were totally lost about which way to run. And this number really drives home the real-world cost of that confusion. The mice with the silent circuit were more than 7 times more likely to completely miss the shelter on their first run. That connection between the GPS and the action center wasn't just a nice to have. It was absolutely critical for survival. Okay, so the circuit is critical for escaping. That's huge. But it brings up a new question. Is this a general-purpose navigation tool that the brain uses for everything? Or is it a specialist, an elite tool built for one job and one job only? Yeah, this is the really important follow-up. Does the brain use this same super fast shortcut for something chill, like finding a snack, or for just turning your head towards an interesting sound? Or is this a dedicated, in case of emergency, break glass kind of circuit? And the answer couldn't be clearer. It's a specialist, through and through. When the scientists silenced the pathway, yeah, the mice were terrible at escaping to the shelter. But, and this is the key part, when they were asked to do other things like turn towards a sound or find a bit of food, there was no effect, none. They could do those things just fine. So the takeaway here is crystal clear. This is not a general navigation circuit. This is a highly specialized pathway. You can think of it like an express lane in the brain, reserved for one of the most important things an animal can ever do, a split-second, memory-guided escape from mortal danger. So we know it's critical, and we know it's a specialist, but how does it achieve that incredible speed and precision? Well, the final piece of this puzzle reveals a ridiculously elegant neural trick that filters out all the noise, leaving just one perfect command. The mechanism has a fancy name: feedforward lateral inhibition. I know, it sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is just beautiful. Basically, when the brain sends the go signal for the correct direction, that very same signal also activates an even more powerful stop signal for all the incorrect directions, essentially shouting them down into silence.
Okay, let's walk through it. Step 1, the GPS, the RSP, sends that simple, "it's over there" signal down to the action center. Now, that signal does two things at the exact same time. It excites a small, very precise group of go neurons for the right direction, but it also excites a much larger, broader group of stop neurons. And these stop neurons then just blanket the whole area, silencing all the other go neurons that would have you turn in the wrong direction. The result? One single, crystal clear command to run.
And this isn't just a nice theory. The scientists found the smoking gun. They recorded directly from these cells and found that yes, the inhibitory stop neurons really were more broadly tuned. They responded to a wider range of directions than the excitatory go neurons. It was exactly what the model predicted.
Here's a great way to think about it. The go signal is like a laser pointer. It hits one very specific target. The stop signal is like a floodlight. It washes out everything else around it, making absolutely sure that the only thing you see is that one bright laser point.
And what's wild is that there's a physical reason for this. The researchers actually looked at the wiring and found that the GPS makes 1.8 times more connections onto those inhibitory stop neurons than it does onto the excitatory go neurons. The circuit is literally built, hardwired, to make the stop signal stronger than the go signal. It's designed to win. So let's just zoom out for a second and put all of these amazing pieces together. What if we actually learned about how the brain is built to survive? What we're looking at here, this RSP-SC circuit, is a masterpiece of biological engineering. It's a dedicated shortcut that takes something incredibly complex, all of your spatial memory, and distills it down to the simplest possible motor command: turn this much and run. And it delivers that command for immediate, life-saving action. So why does this matter? What's the big takeaway? It shows us that for the things that are most critical for survival, the brain doesn't mess around. It builds dedicated, hardwired shortcuts that put speed and accuracy above everything else. It's just a stunningly beautiful example of evolution engineering a simple, elegant solution to a massive life or death problem. And that, of course, leaves us with one last fascinating thought. If the brain went to all this trouble to build a specialized, high-speed circuit just for escape, what other complex behaviors might have their own hidden shortcuts, their own secret express lanes, just waiting for us to discover them?